What's up, everyone? I did a video on the Vikings defense a few episodes ago that focused a lot on Harrison Smith and what he brings to the table as arguably the best safety in the entire NFL. It also dove a little bit into how Mike Zimmer calls his defense from a schematic perspective, as well as some of the talent that surrounds Smith on their front seven. I went on to say that when healthy, Minnesota fields perhaps the most complete defense in the league, and I want to say, right now, I was wrong. The Vikings are not fully healthy, and yet they are still the most complete defense in the league anyway. Imagine that. Despite how high I was on this unit heading into the season, even I grossly underestimated what they are capable of. They had no Sharif Floyd in week 3 because he's had his semi-annual knee injury already, and Xavier Rhodes is still not quite 100% because of his minor knee injury that he's nursing as well. And yet Minnesota still beat Cam Newton senseless for 4 straight quarters. Hit after hit after hit he took. 8 total sacks, 3 interceptions, no passing touchdowns. This was one of the worst games of Newton's career, and it was at home, in Charlotte, against a Vikings squad that can't run the ball worth a damn, and they're just barely getting by through the air with Sam Bradford as he learns the offense. Minnesota absolutely won this game because of their defense, and to be honest, they're so good on that side of the ball that I have no reason to believe anymore that they can't keep winning solely because of their defense. They're that talented and that well coached. And speaking of well coached, I do want to talk a little bit more about their double A-gap pressure looks that I touched on in my previous episode on this defense. Out of their 8 sacks, 2 of them came on this double A-gap pressure look pre-snap. And they also managed to put another hit on Newton later in the game out of this same pre-snap look that wasn't a sack, but it did lead to an interception. This is a snap from the final minute of the second quarter, and here's the conundrum when you see a double A-gap pressure look pre-snap. You really don't know what you're going to get. The Vikings have basically their version of a NASCAR package out there with Danielle Hunter, Brian Robinson, Tom Johnson, and Everson Griffen. These are their 4 best down lineman pass rushers, and on top of that you got Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks showing pressure right up the gut. Now when you show that pressure, the offense basically has to have the center and usually the running back pick up those 2 blitzers or they risk an immediate sack. With the center and running back preoccupied in blitz pickup, that means no chips on the outside to help the tackles, and no double teams inside to help the guards. Everyone on the offensive line is on their own. All of them. And if you give all 4 of those Vikings down linemen a one-on-one, with all the athleticism they've got in that front 4, someone's going to get through. To compound matters further, Mike Zimmer isn't always just going to give you that look and dare you to block it. He's going to make it even harder on you by throwing in stunts, twists, loops, all that sort of stuff to test how well the protection can communicate and pass people off from one gap to the next. He does that here with Brian Robinson, who's able to burst through the A-gap off this loop right here. And by the way, look at Anthony Barr here as the setup man for that loop. He shoves Ryan Khalil, the center, and washes him down the line of scrimmage, which creates just enough space for Robinson to get through the vacated gap cleanly. Barr didn't just try to penetrate and get upfield, he actively made it easier for his teammate to penetrate too. That's what I mean when I say they're very well coached. Right next to Barr, you've got Tom Johnson and Everson Griffen both winning their one-on-ones handily. And with Robinson screaming up through the middle, Cam Newton has nowhere to go and he has to take the sack from Griffen. That's the kind of problem that double A-gap pressure looks create. They test your communication, they test your athleticism and protection, and if you can't get the ball out quick, they test how many hits your quarterback is willing to take. Even without double A-gap looks though, Minnesota was still able to bring the heat all day long because they truly do have an embarrassment of riches along that line. Everson Griffen in particular put on a clinic of how to convert speed to power on the edge. Over and over and over again, he was able to get under Michael Orr's pads, dip low around the corner, which presents a very small amount of surface area for the tackle to punch, by the way, and once engaged, he would stay low and rip right through Orr's punch to get the corner. He had 3 sacks on the day, and 2 of them were textbook speed to power rushes. And keep in mind that Griffen's only 6'3", which is on the short side of edge rushers, and he's only got 32-inch arms, which is very, very short for a defensive end. However, his pure explosiveness and his understanding of leverage, how to make himself a small target, how to put a tackle off balance, he makes up for his lack of size and lack of length with all of that. That's what makes him an all-pro caliber kind of player, and that's why he's well on his way to leading the NFL in sacks this season. So as a Texans fan, from my outsider's personal perspective, this is what we're up against in Week 5. A brilliant defensive mind in Mike Zimmer that understands how to design complex pressure packages and how to coach his players to execute them, a deep and talented front seven with Pro Bowlers and future Pro Bowlers all over the place, but most importantly, this team seems to have the right mentality about all the adversity that they've already gone through. This is a team out for blood. This is a defense out for vengeance on the rest of the league for counting them out. And I'll admit, I counted them out too as soon as Teddy Bridgewater went down. No more. From here on out, the Vikings are the best defense in the league and one of the most dangerous teams in the NFL until proven otherwise. We're 3 weeks in, and I am already done doubting them. And you all should be too. Alright, that's all I got for this week. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you want some more detailed explanations about A-gap pressures and how they work from a coverage standpoint into Mike Zimmer's scheme, you can check out that episode and more on my channel. This episode was originally going to be about the Patriots defense and how they completely shut down the Texans offense in Week 3, but to be honest, I got really depressed about 30 minutes into watching that tape, and I just never want to look at it again. Maybe I'll do something on their defense down the line, who knows. For now, though, just the mere sight of Jamie Collins is really upsetting to me, and I can't deal with it right now. Fucking Belichick. Alright, anyway, until next time, later.